Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Um,
Hi, super excited to learn some new things today.
Thank you. Um, so I thought I would start off with just by introducing myself. Really happy to see some people that I haven't met before. So thank you for being here. Um, My name is Marcia Kia. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. Um, I'm half Japanese, half Chinese Thai, and I'm an actor based out of Los Angeles. I work between LA and New York. Recently I filmed FBI in New York, and then also was had the opportunity to work with Scarlett Johansson on her directorial debut called Eleanor the Great. So I don't know when that's coming out, but probably later this year or um, early next year. And last year, I filmed a movie called Prom Dates, and that'll be coming out on Hulu on May 3rd. So I'm super excited about that. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about me. In terms of my background, I did not study acting at all. So the reason why I kind of wanted to do this was, see how people landed where they are and, decided to pursue what they wanted to pursue. Um, yeah, and to show that, going into the entertainment industry, regardless of whether you're an actor or not, is not a linear path, right? So I thought this would be a great opportunity to share experiences and set some goals. Because no matter where you are, it's truly possible to go in whatever direction you want. I studied engineering and music. I moved out here 5 years ago to pursue sound post-production. I was networking with some alumni. I went to University of Virginia, so I was, networking with people who went there, and I came across an agent. I had no idea what that was. I learned about his job. And then he was like, we want to sign you. And I was like, this is a joke, but it wasn't. And that's kind of how my journey started. It was very backwards in some ways, right? Because a lot of people go to LA to find reps and like get credits. And for sure, I had to get credits from there. But, I think it was the push that I needed to like pursue my dream. Um, anyway, that's a little bit about me. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat or as we go. I'm sure we'll learn about each other. Um, if you guys, want to, absolutely no pressure, but want to introduce yourselves either in the chat or if you want to unmute yourselves, or put on your video, whatever's comfortable for you. I'd love for you to share your name, even though I know it's already there, and your goal. So either for today, um, whether you just came here to learn something new, you were curious, or about your career, like what's your career goal? Um, Veronica, can we start with you?
Definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica, and I've known Marcia for a while. We've been in some productions together, but primarily from our studies in Virginia together. And I have always so much to learn from her experiences, in addition to just the wealth of knowledge she brings from other disciplines that have helped curate her craft. And I always appreciate the time spent with her. So that's why I'm here. But more to my um, goal is to be definitely in film and television. I've been doing theater for a while, since I was 6, and no offense to anyone who loves theater, but I'm over it. So I want to stick primarily to film and television now, and the goal is to utilize my background in mental health advocacy and theater combined to really spearhead roles in unique indie films. So that's my background and everything.
Thank you. I love that. Emily, do you want to share? Also, you don't have to share. So if not, then don't worry about it.
I can share a little.
Okay.
I've been doing improv for a while, because I haven't been able to get into an acting class.
Mm-hmm.
But acting is, I guess, like comedic acting is the goal. I really love sitcoms. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Anthony, do you want to share?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Anthony Eng. I'm actually at the beach right now, if you can see it behind
That
me,
looks awesome.
because I'm a single dad, and so I'm here in the Bay Area for work, and so the kids are here, so I'm basically watching after them while I'm attending this Zoom call. But
That's
I'm also an engineer. I have an engineering background, and I'm an actor based in Boston. I would love to be able to do some sort of film or TV, but there aren't too many of those opportunities out there. So I'm thinking of branching out into doing some voiceover work.
awesome. Oh my God, thank you for joining during your busy schedule from the beach. Yeah, and I'd love to, delve more into how we can get you more involved with the kind of projects that you're interested in, given your schedule and life and being in Boston. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Josh, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, excited to be here. I primarily coming from like the tech industry and wanted to get more involved in television, primarily with cooking shows. So not necessarily acting, but I was curious about like how to get an agent, kind of how that world works because it's really new to me. And so yeah, that's why I'm here.
Thank you. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. So hopefully we can, get all of your questions answered, or at least to some degree. I sent a worksheet in the chat. So if you guys haven't already, please pull that up. And I'd love to go through it and, hopefully it sparks some meaty conversation. So at the top, we have what is outer work? So I kind of divided, if you took a look already, I kind of divided the kind of work that we do to outer work and inner work. And I wanted to invite you to, oh, you can go ahead and save this, make a copy of it, or, print it out. I wanted to invite you to write your own definition. What does that mean to you? What does outer work and inner work mean to you? So some of the examples that I have are for me as an actor, right? Like some of the things that I want to work on outside of myself, making sure that I have good reps, headshots, reels, that I'm networking, putting in an active effort, finding mentors and community, staying up to date with the industry, studying and building skills. So if anyone wants to share, what would your definition of outer work be? Either in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Any ideas? If not, what would outer work be for you? So if, maybe you don't have the same goals as me, if you're not trying to be an actor, maybe like Josh, you're trying to, get into cooking and get on shows there. What kind of outer work, like what kind of steps could you take? And if you don't have an answer, that's okay, but just food for thought.
I was just gonna say maybe, well, at least for me, this is like my first dipping my toes in, so first learning, trying to get acquainted with the industry and answer basic questions.
Yeah. And I think you're doing that today, which is awesome. So what, like, if you were to, define it in general terms for yourself, what would that look like?
I think one being on this workshop, two doing additional research online,
Mhm.
looking at blogs and seeing what people have to say generally about, the best approach to breaking into the industry. I think three, since I do live in Los Angeles, kind of networking and bringing up what I kind of envision for myself, so then people can, maybe make introductions or give advice. Those are the top three things I would say that I can think of.
Awesome. Yeah, feel free to write it down. Thank you for sharing. Anthony said exposure in general and just putting myself out there. Yeah, I think that's great. So yeah, I think outer work generally to me means like interacting with the outside world, right? Whether it's through exposure, networking, or having these conversations. Not going within myself, but outward. Putting your best foot forward by dressing for success. Love that. Yeah, thank you guys. I love these. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a few seconds, a few moments to write down 3 things you can do for your outer work. One thing you can do this week, one thing you can do this month, and one thing you can do this year. If you'd like to share in the chat, go ahead, but no pressure. I'll give you a minute to do that. I think for me this week, my goal was to host this and kind of bring community together. That was my goal. I also have a networking meeting tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that with another actor based in New York. So yeah, if you want to share any of your goals in the chat, feel free. If not, I'm going to move on to the next thing. Well, maybe it would be helpful if I would it be helpful if I screen shared the document? Can anyone give me like a yes or no?
Definitely. I think that would be very
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh. How do I? 1 second. Was it this? Okay, great. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, all good.
Great. Awesome. Okay. So we just wrote down 3 things we can do, hopefully. All right. So inner work, what does inner work mean? I guess to me, it looks like looking inward. Oh, I just saw oh, Anthony, I love your goals. Update resume, finish VO class, do some Linklater voice work. Very, very good. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so inner work. I think for me that's like looking within. But again, I said what is inner work because I wanted to, for you to think about it and to figure out what it means to you. If anyone would like to share, feel free to put in the chat. Some of the examples I think that really ring true to me, I've written down. So the first thing I wrote is the clearer you are about who you are and the more presence you can bring to everyday life, the stronger the actor and artist you become. So I realize more and more every day that the inner work, in my opinion, is like so much more important than the outer work. It's like, for me at least, the work that I avoided for a long time. It was like, oh, like, let me just do more. And then I realized I was neglecting a lot of what was inside. And as actors, we have to, and just as people, right? We need to really understand who we are and our emotions, I guess, especially if, you know, if you're trying to convey emotion on screen. Managing the ups and downs of the industry. Yes. So I have the hardest time dealing with slowness. So right now I like don't have auditions. It's been really slow, and it has been for like a month or so, and it's the first time that I've had like close to nothing. Like I've had like a couple auditions, like maybe this month, which I know I'm not complaining by any means, but it's just like last month I only had one audition, and usually this is a very busy time. So I was like having trouble dealing with the emotions of that because I'm impatient, right? And so instead of like being like, why don't I have auditions? I've tried to reframe it to, how can I work on my patience, right? What is the root of that impatience? It's because I'm not being present, right? So that's why I emphasize, you know, the importance of the presence that you bring to everyday life. And as actors, the goal, right? The best way you can portray whatever character or whatever emotion you're trying to show on screen is being present. And I'm sure, you know, if you've taken acting classes, you've heard that before. Emotional regulation and taking care of your body, building a daily practice, finding community, and finding some hobbies outside of work. So these are some of the things that I've really focused on this year. Building a daily practice. I meditate every day. I try to exercise. That one's a harder one to implement for me. But yeah, like trying to focus on my health. Finding community through events like these, acting classes, you know, going to events. Finding hobbies outside of work. I recently started doing tea ceremony, and I realized it's the first hobby that I have that is completely unrelated to acting. Like everything else I did was like singing, dancing, like performative things that would help me with acting, right? And this, I mean, who knows? Maybe I feel like everything is related to acting, so I might end up using tea ceremony somehow in my work. But for now, it's completely unrelated, and I love having that. Balancing a day job and pursuing acting full time, managing exhaustion, anxiety, etc. This one is something that I hear from a lot of friends who are pursuing acting. It's really hard to juggle working and acting, and on top of that, prioritizing acting, right? It's like something you have to remind yourself every day. But yeah, so like in every decision, being conscious and mindful about choosing acting, right? Remembering what your dreams are. Saying yes versus no in social settings and work settings, being true to yourself goes back to, you know, your inner work, your values, and make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. That's how we learn. What else? If you have any thoughts about, you know, your definition of inner work, or any examples of inner work that you've done or want to do, feel free to speak them out loud or write them in the chat, whatever floats your boat. And go ahead and write down, if you've printed it out, or in like a notebook if you have one, or even your phone notes app, 3 things you can do for your inner work. One for this week, one for this month, and one for this year. Any questions so far? Comments? Okay. So hopefully you've written down 3 things you can do for yourself. hopefully the examples were helpful as well. So if there are no questions about inner and outer work, and of course you can ask them later too if you want, I'm gonna move on to making a game plan for your career. Okay, so I feel like going into the entertainment industry is not a linear path, by no means. However, because of that, there's no like guideline of how to go about things. And I thought that, you know, I wrote like a little disclaimer down here. This industry is by no means a linear path. Each journey is unique. That being said, I had to organize this career path in some way. I wanted to create some sort of like, I guess this is based on my path, and some friends' paths. And I tried to just combine it and make it general. So hopefully it's helpful and, you know, can divide up, make the journey seem less intimidating because you have tangible goals with whatever stage you're at. So let's start with stage 1, building your resume and connections. This is your time to meet people, create a network, get some training and credits, and learn some things you can do. If you're pursuing acting, definitely things you must do. Create a casting profile, Actors Access, casting networks. Those are a must. You have to pay for them, but you know, everyone does. It's really a non-negotiable. Headshots, at this point, don't spend like hundreds of dollars on them. Like, I mean, you might have to like maybe like a couple hundred, but like there are some expensive headshot places that are like over $700. You don't need that at this stage. You're gonna have to get new headshots when you get reps anyway. Okay, so don't break the bank on headshots. Start self-submitting for projects, free projects, student projects, anything. Look on Facebook groups. I know some of you found me that way. So yeah, book student films. Basically, the point is to build credits and get some real footage. That is key to, you know, having access to reps and bigger projects. Network, meet people. That's how I got my agent, you know, so it really does work. You just have to meet the right person, right? Like it takes one meeting. I do recommend, I know some people like, I think there's this cliche that's like, oh, go party and you'll meet someone. I have never met anyone through like socializing that way. My approach to to networking is like cold calling, writing emails, through like some sort of connection, right? So I'll ask one of my mentors and be like, oh, can you connect me to this casting director? And I had like a Zoom meeting, you know, and asked her some questions that way. Or, you know, I went through the alumni database and I cold emailed every person who lived in LA who worked in entertainment, you know? You can make a spreadsheet about people, like with all the people, and you know, you can have like, did you email them? Did you call them? Did you follow up? Right? Because some people, honestly, they're really busy, right? They're not necessarily gonna respond to you, but if you're persistent, don't be afraid of being annoying. If you're persistent, they'll get back to you. And another thing that you can do is try background work for set experience. It's always good to be on set, you know, and doing background work is a way that you can get on like a network set and see what that's like. Some tips: don't spend money on headshots or equipment at this stage, or at least too much, right? Budget yourself. It's not worth it. You're gonna have to spend plenty of that money later on. And I think something, yeah, I wish I knew, is that audition classes are much more helpful than scene study at this stage, especially. Scene study can be more fun because you're like actually doing the acting. So by all means, do it if that's something that, you know, you want to do, but you don't have to. I think the thing that I found most helpful are audition classes, because that's what helps you book the job, to get the experience and the credits and the real footage to help you move on to the next stage. And then for money, having a full-time job at this point will likely not affect your career. So, you know, you don't really have to think about quitting your job. Find your focus. So if there's anything on there that really resonated with you, write it down. Like, this is what I want to focus on. You know, it's really important to have 1 or 2 things that you want to focus on at every point so that you don't lose sight of your goals. Feel free to write any questions in the chat or unmute yourselves about stage 1. So Anthony said it's so difficult to make it via the usual traditional path. I'm doing that, but I feel like I need to take a different path by doing something creative and out of the box. Just don't know yet what that would be. Okay, yeah, totally. I think I know this is really hard because you're busy, you know, I know I can't imagine being a single dad. I think honestly, like, what helps you spark creativity is having the space to, right? So whether that means like when you're playing with your kids, like really being present, and then maybe like that'll spark an idea, or meditating, right? So finding, if you're able to find some time for yourself and sit with yourself, like those moments when we're not immersed in, you know, what we have to do tomorrow or what we did yesterday. Those are the moments where I think you get these really great ideas. But yeah, I'm Anthony, I'm happy to also like discuss one-on-one if you want. We can brainstorm what we can do, what you can do, you know, with your schedule, because I'm not very familiar with what your day-to-day life looks like. Anyone else? Okay. Feel free, if you're, you know, still typing, I'll look at it later. So stage 2, getting more credits. Once you have the basics, it's time to build up your resume with more variety: commercial, drama, comedy, theater, new media, etc. There's like so many types of media just like being born every day. There's like vertical form now. I think that's really popular. Goals: find reps, book paying gigs, get new headshots, create your own short and star in it, try improv and writing. So these are some of the maybe like creative things you can, you know, do for yourself. Something I did during the pandemic with Veronica is that we made like a web series. We were all in quarantine and we just kind of shot selfies. And was it quality? By all means, no, I don't think so. But was it fun and something to do and creative? And did I learn? Yeah. You know, I think it's really important to just try to find the fun in it, right? I think that's something that I'm still working on. Don't stress too much about it. Find people you can trust and confide in, find community. Yeah, I think community is definitely one of the most important things that that I feel so grateful to have. It's going to be a great foundation for your career. Make a contact list of people you work with, or you want to contact. Like I said, make a spreadsheet of people and reach out to them, cold call, cold email. Familiarize yourself with casting directors. And, you know, feel free to reach out later if you have any more questions about details about how you can do that, or we can, you know, do a Q&A at the end. Money. Check in. How is balancing your job with acting? Is it distracting you? How are your energy exhaustion levels? How are you prioritizing your auditions? So this is a big one, I think. A lot of people start to make excuses around this time. It's like, oh, like, you know, I have to work, like I can't audition, I haven't been self-submitting, I haven't been looking for reps. Well, that's probably because you're spending too much energy on other things, right? And I understand it, you got to pay the bills. But how can you balance that with your dream, right? And that's an open question. There's no answer for that. There's a right way for you, you know? And find your focus here as well. Okay. Feel free to ask any questions about stage 2. And then after that, stage 3, join the union or not. Becoming SAG eligible is a huge step. So I don't know if everyone knows what that means, but basically you have to, it's really hard to like get in the union. You have to get a union job being non-union. You have to be a specific enough person for a character, for someone, for like a union gig to choose you over a union person to get in the union. I don't know if that sentence made any sense. I hope it did. So you have to get Taft-Hartley'd. That's the term. You get this like golden ticket that's like, here you go, here's your entrance into the union. Now, after that, it's like, yay, I can join the union, but you have to pay $3,500-ish to join. So you have to have that in your savings. So, something you want to start thinking about maybe as you're like starting to get more and more non-union credits and when you become SAG eligible is to start saving up that money. It's just like a lovely rite of passage. If you're starting to get more busier with auditions, you might want to start considering a more flexible or part-time position. What skill set do you have that you can utilize? Maybe you can, be an acting teacher, or, you have to look for something that's not 9 to 5. Maybe you want to pick something in the morning if you're a morning person, or a night. Some people are fitness instructors. Some people, I think the most typical one is waitress, because it doesn't conflict with time, but you just want to do something that's not too exhausting. What I did for a long time was tutor, and I still do for a couple hours a week. And it's really flexible, right? I just pick my time with my students. So just, yeah, figuring out what you can do. And again, happy to open this up to discussion if you have any questions or you're like, I don't know how to do that for me. At this point, something you might want to think about, what are you lacking, missing? Try to fill in the gaps, right? It's like, oh, I haven't gotten headshots in like 2 years. Maybe I need to do that. Or like, oh, I need more real footage, stuff like that. Just make sure you're always checking in, make it a habit. Stage 4, building SAG credits. So once you join the union, your auditions are just gonna plummet. This was really hard for me because I was like, oh my God, I don't have work. But remember, quality over quantity, right? You want to put in more of your energy into creating one quality product rather than be all over the place with like a bunch of non-union work. Again, it's not necessarily saying that non-union work is not good. All work is good, but yeah. Okay, so at this point, tip. Be specific in the image and brand you are creating for yourself. Don't be afraid to say no or yes. Familiarize yourself with directors, producers you want to work with. Yeah, you want to kind of think about like what kind of characters you want to play, I think last fall, I was like, oh, I kind of want to work on deadpan. So I was working on a lot of deadpan characters, and then I got an audition and I played it deadpan and I got it. And that was really cool. Money. Make a financial plan. So the reality of joining SAG and like making a living is that you make over $1,000 a day, and then you work maybe a day or two, and then you don't work for a couple weeks or a couple months, right? So being able to manage that money takes a lot of financial responsibility. You can't just like, it's like, oh my God, I got a huge paycheck, maybe I should go to Nobu. No. So the way I do it is all the money that I make from acting goes to my necessities, rent, utilities, bills. And then my tutoring money is my spending money. So I use, whatever I earn from that for if I want to go out to dinner or, I don't know, go to tea or whatever. And that's just the way that makes sense to me. Maintenance and growth. Make sure your profiles and reels are always up to date. Do this regardless of where you're at in your career. I think that constant maintenance is what leads you to success. Remember, being an actor is like having your own small business. You have to constantly work at it and be dedicated. Yes. What kind of characters do you want to work on? We already touched on this a little bit. Your focus at this stage might be more specific to you. Yeah, so everyone's career looks obviously very different. And, you know, some people might still be able to keep their day jobs, which is awesome, or want to, you know, it's like maybe you're an engineer and you love it. You don't have to quit. No one's forcing you, right? It's always good to have other sources of income. Last stage. It's not the last stage, but it's the last stage for this because that's the last stage that I'm at and I don't know anything better. Acting as your mostly full-time job. This stage looks different for everyone. So again, please take this with a grain of salt. This is coming just from my experience. And as I, you know, hopefully have more of these discussions, I'll be bringing on other actors, and they'll share their experiences, which could be totally different. Most people keep their flexible jobs. Like if they have, you know, other jobs that they like and, you know, aren't too time consuming or and don't take away from their acting, then they keep them, which is great. It's always good to have other sources of income because acting is so unpredictable. Some months you may be on set for a couple of days to a week. Others you can be completely dry. So save your money. Tip, enjoy your life, enjoy the process. This goes for every stage. Stop looking for the next job. How can you be present in the now and in your journey? I am completely speaking to myself here. I don't know about you guys, but this is something that I'm working on right now. Definitely was a struggle for a really long time. Would love to open up that discussion and even hear from you guys and what you do to enjoy the process. Do you have backup options financially for when the industry slows down? Definitely something you need to think about at this point to be resourceful. Food for thought. You may now have more freedom with your time and money. What will you do with your time? How will you stay productive and not overthink for those of us overthinkers? Yeah, so I organized this, you know, into these different stages and finding your focus because I think, you know, like I said before, having that focus point for weeks, a week, a month, a year is really helpful in goal setting. So feel free to use the outline that I have provided. Extra credit for people who want an accountability partner. I am more than happy to be your accountability partner. This week, what are you going to do for your inner and outer work this month and this year? I guess that's kind of the same as what I had earlier. Maybe I'll change that later. And then have your long-term goal. Set a reminder on your phone or calendar to check back in every week and every month. Again, you can do this with a partner. And see if you reach the goal you set for yourself. And you'll find that more often than not, you will reach it. There is something magical to writing it down. And I wrote this in highlight. If you print it out and do it by hand and put it somewhere you can see every day, it's like a vision board, right? It like literally just comes true. It's just always there. Having that daily reminder to put in that work is by far the most important thing, whether it's inner or outer work. Okay, so I've gone through the worksheet. I would love to open it up to discussion, questions, about things we covered and didn't cover, or anything at all. Comments, anything. Or anything specific to your career that, you know, I might have some input to. By no means am I an expert, but
I have a question. So we talked about seeking representation and being at the correct stage in which to be able to seek representation.
Huh.
What are some tips that you have coming from your experience and or what you've heard from other peers, friends in the industry on reaching out to agents, getting those networking connects going? Like, what
yeah,
would you recommend?
that's a great question. I think it's, that can be a really, I think for most people, that's the trickiest step. One of the trickiest steps, finding representation. And in many ways, I feel completely unqualified to answer that question, but I will do my best. You know, for me, absolutely networking. I think that was everything. I think building your skills, right? So, you know, maybe you reach out to agents, and if they, you know, reach out and then follow up, if you still don't hear back, well, whatever, right? But if any of them do respond, even if it's a no, ask for feedback. So, you know, ask for feedback, say like, what could I work on? Right? Like what, basically like, what's your resume lacking? What, in essence, like what, how would, like, if not necessarily with them, but what would make you, you know, a more appealing client, right? And that can be for agents or anyone you network with. Of course, I think it's easier when you're in a major, a city that, you know, has a lot of entertainment people, like LA or New York or Atlanta. But using your alumni network, to Zoom call with people, having, you know, a list of like 3 people that you're going to email, in a week, right? But yeah, just like receiving feedback from people. And then I think also just really working on your craft, and what you're selling, right? You are the product. What is the product, right? Who is Veronica Grace, right? And making sure that your materials reflect what you're selling. Does that make sense? Capitalizing on your skill set and what you're trying to promote. So I know you mentioned like mental health, right? So focusing on mental health projects, talking about that with people who are in the industry, who are also in like, who are mental health advocates. Does that help, Veronica? Or does that feel like things that you've already done?
No, that's immensely helpful, especially the like networking with alumni. I know there's like a feature in LinkedIn where you can back search. So typing in even production companies or names of universities that I've been like in cahoots with in the past, just back searching like by industry for a certain person or for any alumni that fit the bill, like ticking all the boxes for what would fit the needs for me in terms of networking. So that's a great starting point. And I want to like jump on Zoom calls with people just to get the ball rolling. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I think yeah, that's a great start. I'm so excited for you. And you know, reach out, and if you need more ideas, let me know. I'm here for you. Anthony or Emily, do you have any questions, comments? Or Josh? If not, my email is on the bottom of the worksheet. I'll also send in the chat. Feel free to email me anything. And I would love to stay connected. So like either way, I have your emails, Josh and Veronica, but I don't think I I don't have your emails, Anthony and Emily. So if you want to send me an email, I'd love to stay connected and keep up with each other's journeys. If that sounds good to you. If there's no more questions, then I think that's it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Martha.
Marcia.
This is really helpful.
Thank you all for
Try
coming.
really hard to think of a question, but nothing is coming to
Oh
mind
my
at
God.
the moment.
Don't worry.
But thank you so much. I am a very like I learn well from things that are written out. And this is just like amazing to be able to like look at and like think about and revisit. And I love how like structured this is. So like thank you so much. This is just like amazing.
Thank you for your feedback. It means a lot. So thank you, Emily. I'd love to stay connected. So feel free to shoot me an email and I'd love to stay updated on your journey.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, I'll be having another one on Sunday. So if you guys want to come in, the discussion will be a little different because I'll have other people from the industry. And my friend Alex, who works at Participant Media, will be there. And he will be talking about his experiences. And I don't know if any of you are familiar, but Participant Media is like a huge production company that just announced that they are shutting down. So that's huge news in the industry. So it'll be really interesting to hear about his experience there and just the ups and downs of in the current climate of Hollywood. So yeah, if you want to hear more, feel free to jump in. You can just listen to, you don't have to, it might not be so like interactive. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. And if you want to just listen but can't make it, then I can send you the recording. So email me. Okay. Thanks again for coming. Yeah, it means a lot. Feel free to email me any feedback or anything. And have a great evening. Bye guys.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.